A descriptive test is a way of analysing descriptive value within wines. Conducting a descriptive test allows us to determine differences in flavours and aroma descriptors within finished wine, and allows us to see how different wines compare to each other.
So when we're designing a test, we don't leave anything to subjectivity. So your participants should not be guesstimating or interpolating anything. So we take into account all known sources of bias, and we minimize the amount of testing that we need to produce the desired accuracy of results. So for ethics, we have to lodge an application to the University of Auckland Human Participation Ethics Committee. So the screening of the sample, we have to examine all the sensory properties of the sample to be tested, and we use test methods to take into account any sensory biases introduced by the samples. For example, different colors of wine, red and or white, can influence overall responses. So screening the sample also provides information on possible score sheet terms, and we make sure that the data is usable so we don't waste our participants' times. We also look at the smallest amount of wine that's required to answer our question and ensures a quick tasting so we prevent fatigue from the large number of samples. So the sample prep, or our wine was stored at ambient temperature and is served in a standard tasting wine glass that's transparent. The most important thing here is homogeneity. So temperature, quantity differences are quite small because tasters will look for clues to help them discriminate between samples. So the number of samples we keep at 5 to limit workload and the duration of our session. We have a few psychological errors here. So first one is the error of central tendency. This is storing the products in mid-range and avoiding the extremes. So to prevent that, we give them a lot of training. So we also have the time order error. So the first product in the series is scored higher or equally shares the first position between two products. We then have the error of expectations. So we apply previous knowledge to the wine and gives its phantom attributes. An example will be if a taster has only tasted Sauvignon Blanc from France and they apply what they know about French Sauvignon Blanc to our experiment, we can prevent this by giving as little information as possible. And the biggest error, of course, is that we've been stuck inside our house because of Corona for more than 2 months. We are very unmotivated and we're really not in the correct mindset for a trial right now.
When setting up a sensory panel, the aim is to reduce psychological and physiological disturbances. We want a constant and controlled environment that we can ensure is exactly the same each time the panellists come in for a sesh. The setup must allow for no distractions or breaks in concentration from things like loud noises. This means the room must be quiet. More importantly, anything that will change the panelist's perception of the wine itself is most egregious. Background colour should therefore be nothing outside of the Rosine white or beige range, and under no circumstances should there be any funky smells or mood lighting. All of the glasses should be exactly the same and they should be wine glasses. Each wine glass should have the exact same amount of wine in it because the panel leader must not be seen to favour any one panellist. In a nutshell, the most suitable setting for a sensory experiment may in fact be a prison cell.
I smell passion fruit.
I smell pineapple.
I smell guava.
I smell melon.
I smell nectarine.
We decide that the standard will be labelled as tropical fruit.
I'm picking up grapefruit.
I'm sensing lemon.
I think I smell lime.
I smell orange.
I'm getting mandarin.
Cool. Okay, so we decided that this label shall be citrus.
Oh, I wonder if it's my Sephora order. What the? Doesn't really taste like wine, eh?
No, you idiot. It's Sauvignon Blanc, not a Bloody Mary. It's the stem. No, don't eat it. Just smell it.
This is so hard. Oh, hey, is this poison control?
Yes, hello, how can I help you?
I just ate a 2-mile stalk. Am I going to die?
No, but I just need a second.
Okay, cool. I'm hang up now.
Oh, wait. Hello? Hello?
Bye.
I smell thyme.
I smell cut grass.
I smell tomato stalk.
I smell green beans.
I smell green capsicum.
I think we're going to come together and say this one smells like green vegetable.
Please rate this wine on intensity of tropical fruit.
If we wanted this quantitative descriptive test to be valid, we would need each of the panelists to taste each of the wines, and most likely in triplicate, meaning that the wines would reappear to be reevaluated within the lineup in order to make sure that the panelists are being consistent when they taste the same wine, unbeknownst to them, but they're tasting the same wine and they're remaining still consistent with the intensity that they're marking on their 150 millimeter scale. So with that scale, we would get a numerical value, hence the quantitative part of the test, for the intensity of the standard that they're marking it for. Now, when we get the results of this, we would be able to say that wine 1 has a higher intensity of fresh cut grass and vegetables than wine 2 and wine 3. So this ensures that we can show the difference between the intensities of certain flavors rather than showing that wine 1 is in fact different than wine 2 and wine 3. Not only are they different, but they also have a range of different intensities for different standards, and they're higher in some flavors than others.